So I totally just went and met my friend for coffee and got absolutely soaking wet in the rain because I didn't bother bringing an umbrella, and washed all my makeup off and totally soaked my hair, but I threw on this hat so you wouldn't notice. Is it working? Should also try and probably find a better background for these kind of sitting at home videos like this. No, a pile of crap on my bed, but hey, you can work on that. So I absolutely love reading. It's been something that's been a part of my blog since I started it pretty much. I think my first ever blog post was a book review, and I've sort of always done reading reviews for the last 3.5 years in one way or another. I started off doing them exclusively, and then it kind of got combined into like a monthly review thing, but now I'm not doing that anymore. But I didn't want to totally stop doing things that book related because I love reading and I love watching people's booktube videos. So I thought, you know, I can't do an exclusive booktube channel. I don't think it's something I can commit to. With everything else I have going on, but I thought doing a reading review every month would be good, and then, you know, I'm still being able to savour the books I love and share with you guys, and then you can tell me what you were reading and vice versa, and it's all good. So I thought I'd start off this month by telling you what I'm reading. So I use Goodreads as a big part of my motivation to read, and every year for the last 3 or 4 years I try and read 10,000 pages on there, which I find is better than the number goal because it makes me want to read shorter books if I'm trying to read higher. And I've set 40 for the last few years, and I've always hit it, but I've always felt a bit of pressure. So this year I dropped my reading goal to 30 books instead, just to sort of, so I didn't have to worry about it. And I actually read 5 books this month, so I think it's been successful. The first book I read, I don't have a copy of me here, so I'll put a picture here. La 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 la, alright? Yeah. Anyway, I've got into the habit, because I don't have as much room here in my London flat that I did when I was in Yorkshire for obvious reasons, of trying to give books to charity as soon as I finish with them so they're not in the flat, which is difficult, but I'm working on it. So that's why I don't have this book. Anyway, the book is called The Santa Claus Murder. I actually got this through work. I work at a book publisher, and this isn't actually one of our books or anything like that. It's just that we have a crime fiction book club, and I'd never really read crime before, so I joined that recently. And this is the first book we read since I joined. It's from the British Library, and it's an old-fashioned like whodunit crime thriller, which I wasn't sure if I would like or not, but I actually got quite into. I think I've been watching Downton Abbey at the minute at the same time, kind of fitting. It's a similar kind of house, similar kind of style and time period. It's set in the 1920s. The basic story is like this. There is a man who is the lord, I guess, of a house. All his family come over for Christmas. He dies while he's... No, he's not dressed as Santa. I'm forgetting already. Someone kills him who is dressed as Santa. He bought a Santa outfit because he's going to do something with the kids. And it's like, who in the house has done it, or was it someone from out of the house? Blah 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 blah. Of course I can't give much away because it's a mystery and that would ruin it. I did quite enjoy this book. I didn't think I'd want to read something of this style so quickly afterwards. Like, it was a bit slow in places, and it's very dated. You can definitely tell from the time period. It felt like it set up a lot of leads that didn't follow. It wouldn't be too salacious. But I still enjoyed it. I think I probably gave it 3 or 5 or something on Goodreads. I can't remember, I'm just guessing. That's a good idea. I can't remember which exact order I read these next 2 books in, so let's just hope I got this right. It doesn't really matter, you wouldn't know, would you? So the next book I read is Everybody Sees the Ants by A.S. King. I first read about A.S. King through Ariel's book blog, I'm sure, book vlog even. I'm sure you know her, she's very big in the scene, and she'd been going on about A.S. King for a while. I bought another of A.S. King's book last year. I did enjoy her writing style. It wasn't my favourite book in the world. There's something about it I just didn't love, but I loved her style of writing, so I decided to get this year. You can tell it's an American copy because their paper's all floppy. Has anyone else noticed that? American books are really floppy and weird, and also it got wet and it like disintegrated. American books are really bizarre. Anyway, not the point. I read this one really quickly. I much preferred it to the other A.S. King I read. I really enjoyed this. I think I was going to give it 4 stars, so it was a high 4. It's about this guy called Lucky Lindemann who's sort of going through school. It's about his relationship with his parents, and he gets bullied, and his relationship with his grandfather, who went missing in action in the Vietnam War. And I'm not describing this very well, but it's really interesting. There's a little bit of hyper-realism in there. It's a really good book. I really would recommend it to anyone, really, who, if you're the kind of person like me who prefers character-driven novels to like action-based, you definitely need to read this. So just as a disclaimer, I work for Bloomsbury Publishing. I don't work in their PR or marketing or anything to do with that. I work in production. Yep, the boring side of things. So they don't know. I'm not being told to review any of these books or anything. It's just every now and then at work we have a clear out, and that usually takes them. This time I took more than usual, so I ended up reading 3 of our books back to back. But you know, they know nothing about this. It's all honest. I'm always honest. So just got that out of the way. So the first book I got from work is this one. Every now and then if we have a big like titled book coming out, they get copies for everyone. It's usually when we have a young adult book coming out, and in this case it was this one. This book actually isn't out until February, and I read it really early in January. It's a mix between Sarah Crossan and Brian Coggan. I've probably said his second name wrong, which are two really good YA authors. Sarah Crossan won a load of awards last year for her book One, which I read. It's all done in poetic style and it's really good, and this is the same. It's all done in poems. It's about two teenagers, one of whom has like grown up in Britain and has got really got in trouble, and then the other guy who's come from a different country and moved here to try and raise money to go and marry a girl back home with his family, and how he's bullied for not being British. And how those two hate each other and then sort of become friends, and it's this whole story, but it's all told in sort of poetic, I don't know if you're going to see this, in the sort of poem sort of short style, so it's a really quick read. If you did read One by Sarah Crossan, you'll know the style. We actually have these authors coming to an author lunch next week or the week after, sometime soon, so I'm looking forward to meeting them because I actually really enjoyed this book. It's very, like I said, because of the style of it, it's a really fast read, but it's like quite dramatic and it's lovely. It's written in poetic style, but it's not a sort of fanciful or overly flowery at all. It's just a really effective way of getting these two characters talking. Both characters are really interesting in different ways. They're not perfect at all. And I just really enjoyed this one, so check it out when it comes out in a couple of weeks. Another Bloomsbury book I managed to nab when it was on a free pile was Holes by Louis, how do you spell that? Louis Sachar? God, I'm bad with last names. This is a book that I feel like everyone read at school. It's like a young adult. I read a lot of young adult this month, but I never did. This wasn't on our reading list. I think we probably read Cares instead. So I didn't know anything it was about. I knew there was a film with Shia LaBeouf in back in the day. I wasn't really expecting much from this. I thought it was going to be very actiony, which isn't my kind of thing, but I wanted to give it a go, and I actually was really surprised. There's another book that I really enjoyed. I did quite well this week. This one I read really fast as well. There's enough action in it to keep the plot moving, but it's still character based and character driven for me to not get bored or lost in this thing. Kind of dystopian, but not dystopian. I'm really bad at describing books. Nice one, me. But anyway, I really would recommend this to pretty much everyone, especially if you're sort of in the younger middle grade kind of year 9ish era. It's got a really good energy to it, and it's with sort of like friendship and perseverance and families. And I was pleasantly surprised by this one. Last book I got from this month, which is a book I'd relatively unheard of, and it's called Butter. I have a feeling that this is one that was published in the US, because I'd never heard of it before, and it just we just ended up with a copy of it at work. It is in dollars on the back, so that would make sense, but I'm sure you can get it in the UK. I read the blurb of this one and it just got me interested, and it's really interesting. It's basically about this guy whose nickname is Butter. He is severely overweight and obese, and he decides that he's had enough of all the bullying and his inability to lose weight, and so he decides he's going to live stream while he eats himself to death. So he makes this website where he says like in a few months he's going to do it, and it's about the after effects of that, how people react to him, on the lead up to the event, his relationships with his parents, his relationships with food, his friends and his fake friends at school, and popularity and all that stuff. This book is amazing. Like this book needs to be more well known. I feel like, you know, Butter is, I'd never heard of it, never knew anything about it. The back cover totally drew me in. And I'm so glad I gave it a go. It's quite, you know, well, not a big book, but, you know, for a young adult, it's fairly Harry Potter ticket in there for some reason. I went to see this week. For YA, but I read it super quick. I enjoyed it so much. I think this was the reason I've read quite a lot this month, is because every book I've read, even though my reading time has been limited, I've been enjoying it so much that when I have had the time, I've not been getting distracted. And if you're a young adult reader, really recommend this. I think it should get a lot more attention than it does. It really does some really interesting issues in different ways to I've never seen before. The lead character is definitely not perfect. He does some less than honourable things. It's all quite dramatic, and it's all sort of, it's got that thing where it involves the internet a bit and technology, but it's not patronising. Like sometimes when I feel like you read young adult books and it's just so out of touch, it feels uncomfortable. This doesn't feel like that. It does feel like kind of realistic and up to date, like it could happen. I don't really know what else to say other than you should read this book. There you have it, that is my 5 books for January. If you have anything to recommend for February, please let me know. I've just started Gone Girl, so I'll probably be working my way through that in February. And thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe if you want to and all that good stuff, and I will see you next time.